Alrighty then, welcome back. Let's take a look at this next section, implementing Google Auth for a couple of different things here. So first of all, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. You should go check out fireship.io. I took his SvelteKit course. Jeff, I believe is his name. Fantastic YouTube channel. I am borrowing his basic structure for Google Auth. My code is going to be a little bit different than his for sure, but I just wanted to shout out like his structure of the way he handles server-side authentication, creating cookies for users. I borrowed some of that. So you won't see all the code. It's not exactly stealing his stuff, but I just figured I'd give him a shout out. So here's what we want. Users can log in. Okay, obvious. They can also log out. Okay, also obvious. I would also like to log users out after 7 days-ish, or more specifically have their cookie deleted. We're going to be creating cookies. If you don't know what cookies are, you should go Google it. But basically, our browser will be able to look at, not our browser, but their browser will be able to have a cookie that says, oh, they are logged in. Here is their data, or whatever. And if they don't have a cookie, we can log them out. And we want to refresh cookies every week or so, maybe like 2 weeks or something. Oh, wrong page. There we go. And more importantly, we want to be able to access the user's data for the front end. We want to be able to show or hide content whether a user is logged in or not. We don't want non-logged in users to be able to use our app, for example. Or we could look at their data. Well, first of all, we want to display their data. Like, here's your email address. Let them change their email address. Here's your name. Hello, so-and-so name. But we also could access like their plan information. Let's say you have multiple plans, subscriptions, with access to different parts of your app or whatever. You can like lock down content conditionally based on user data. So that's what we're going for here. Now, one other word of warning. I'm about to go in and just start copying and pasting code, like some boilerplate code. A lot of this comes from my other app, fab.ai. I just want you to know that all of these files that I'm about to create kind of work with each other and rely on each other. If you're not doing authentication exactly like I'm doing, you're going to have unnecessary code that doesn't get used. It may not break things, or it may break things, I don't know. But all of these files have code that kind of works together. And you're going to see this in a second. We're going to start here, create an API endpoint. It's not going to work until we implement all of the pieces of the puzzle. You'll see what I mean by this in just a second. So let's dive in and create an API route that is going to log in the user and create cookies and all sorts of good stuff. So let's go to API, login. I already have the folder created. I actually did that off camera. And I'm going to create a server.js file, server.js. All right. I need a plus server, don't I? So rename, where's rename? There it is. Plus server.js, right? Does it need that? Actually, I don't remember. Yeah, it does need the plus sign. It doesn't matter. Server.js, here we go. Here is our login page. Let's go ahead and navigate there. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do really quick? I'm gonna go in my layout file and then add that as a menu item at the very top, just so I can click it easier. Let's go with, let's add it right here. Lee for list item here. Start, it's not gonna be that, it's gonna be login. And let's just put login for now. Login. Now we can just click this and navigate there. All right, so here is our login page. Go back to what we were doing. I'm gonna create the server.js file. Sorry, forgive me, put that in here. And we're gonna make two requests in here. We're gonna add functionality for a post request, which will log users in. I'm actually just gonna paste all this in here rather. And we're gonna have a delete. Here's the delete. So in here, I'm not gonna go through this line by line, but some things to note here. We're getting the ID token, which you must have. We don't actually need their email for this. And is new user, I'll show you more about this in a second. But we're getting the ID token from the request that comes in, which we're gonna fire from our front end. We're gonna fire this API route. And we're gonna use that ID token down here to like verify some stuff. We're gonna decode it, Actually, we're not going to do a dang thing, right? Firestore is going to do all this stuff. We're importing the Firestore admin SDK stuff up here. Expires in is basically 14 days, right? This will be used down here, right there. We're going to create a cookie, and then we're going to set it to expire in 14 days. This could be 7 days. Like we said earlier, we could change that to 7. But let's actually just leave it 14 days for now. And for testing, by the way, if you ever want to test cookies really quickly, like on your own computer, you could set it to expire in like a couple of minutes or something. I've done that before. You could leave that in there if you really want. Delete that. Okay, so we are setting a cookie. We're going to call it __ session. And then it's going to have some other stuff attached to it right here. We're going to return some JSON with a status that says signed in. Else we're going to throw an error right here. Recent sign in required, meaning like if this doesn't happen in the past couple of minutes, I stole this straight from Jeff, by the way. That's what this says. If they haven't signed in the past couple of minutes, we're not going to do this because that might indicate someone trying to like hack stuff or something. And then we have a delete request in the same file. We can trigger this same API URL with a delete request, and it's going to just delete their cookie named _ session, and then we'll return the status signed out. So this should be probably pretty good. Okay, let's just close that. Move on to the next step. Again, all these are interrelated, so we can't actually test this quite yet. Now we are going to, I actually want to do this one first. It doesn't matter, we'll do this. So we're gonna create here in Firestore. Let's open up my Firebase thing right here. Let's go to this one and create the collection of users. So right now there's nothing in our database whatsoever. So we're gonna click Start Collection, go to Users, hit Next. Okay, document ID, I think you can have this be their email address, but I usually just do auto-generated IDs. It's easier. You will use this at some point, like if you're using Stripe especially, I use this to connect Stripe with a specific user based on their ID. And let's go ahead and add some fields. So you don't need to worry so much about schema, so to speak, in Firestore, at least not like you do some other back-end development. In fact, for this video, don't even worry about that. Whatever. You don't have to have all of the fields that each user will have attached to them, like email is one. I'm going to go ahead and just create myself here. Create myself. You don't have to worry about adding first name, last name, plan, anything like that. Is active. You don't have to worry about anything like that at the moment. You could just add that stuff later. Okay, got a user now. Here is a list of all of our users, just one, and then here's the information, the fields, and we'll have sub-collections later on. Like, for example, maps. Each user is going to have a list of maps, right, attached to their account, and that'll be in the sub-collection, probably called maps. All right, so we have this collection started. Let's move on to the next step here. We're going to create some middleware. You don't know what middleware is? I don't know what middleware is. Doesn't matter. It runs in between loading things from the server to the browser. It's going to execute some code, and in our case, it's going to like check some cookies and set some cookies and stuff. So we're going to create a new file, hooks.server.js. It's going to be our middleware in the routes folder. So let's go back to our code and routes here. Let's close some of this stuff. All right, routes. We're going to add a new file, hooks.server.js. All right, toss in some boilerplate here. We're going to import the admin SDK, right, up here, admin auth, that is. And then we have a function called handle, event resolve. It's getting the cookies. It's kind of like decoding those or whatnot. And it's also creating something called, or it's kind of accessing this user ID from the cookies. That's what this middleware does. And one cool thing about this is we can actually use this when we do load functions, when we load data into different pages from server.js files or page.server.js files. We'll kind of use this. We'll just name it UID, and then we'll call upon that local cookie to grab the user ID that we're creating right here, event.locals.user ID. It's basically decoding the cookie stuff and getting that user ID that we can use for, pulling that user's data or sending to Stripe if we need to, or something like that. And it'll look like this. This will be our load function in a page.server.js file, and it'll have this in there. We'll get the user ID that we can use, and if they don't have one, if they don't have a user ID, like if the cookie's deleted or something else, we'll redirect them to log out, and we'll kind of make that happen on autopilot. You'll see that I actually do my logout kind of a hacky way. You'll see why in a couple of minutes. I just found it easier to work with. You'll see this in a minute. So we got our middleware, we got a hook created. Now we need to create some user stores. So basically stores in SvelteKit, you can kind of just think of them like variables. That's the way I think of them in my head. They're just like variables that you can subscribe a user to, quote unquote, subscribe a user to get information from the store, whatever that is, right? In our case, we're going to create a store, actually 2 stores, for users where you can access user data. In fact, that's literally going to be the name of them, one of them, user data. So we're going to create some stores here. Let's go to the firebase.js file in the lib directory, and we're going to add this to the bottom of that file. There should be stuff in there already. Firebase.js and the lib stuff. We are going to come in here and paste this in here. Let me prettify that up a little bit. There we go. So many like blank spaces that we're using. It's kind of annoying. It's hard to read like this, isn't it? You don't really need to know exactly how this works. Or you probably do need to know it, but I'm not going to teach it to you in this video. You can go look stuff up. But we are basically creating user stores that we can subscribe the users to so they can get access to data and so on and so forth. And we also created a derived store, which you can go Google. Derived. This, I think, mostly allows information to come almost like live, at a live pace, live data from your database. I could be wrong about that. There might be a different way to think about it, but there we go. So we've added this, and still looks pretty bad, but whatever. So we have stores that people can subscribe to. All this stuff now really is to kind of implement this on the front end. We do need to import this whenever we want to like have access to those stores, by the way. We'll probably need to come back to this in a second. Let's see. We'll come back to that in a second. So let's do the login. So a few things. Number one, we actually need the button, and then we need the function that the button calls, and that will be called sign in with Google. We're going to import the SDKs at the top, and we're going to create this function that first signs people in. It uses Google Auth. Super easy. Just paste in code from Google. It's going to call the API route, and then we are going to, you don't have to use this, but there's a little bit of code to see if it's a new user or returning user. You can handle those differently, of course. If it's a new user, we're going to save them to that Firestore database. I don't know why I was going to alt tab, but so let's just grab this. Let's actually go to our login. It's right here. Here's our login thing. Let's actually just delete that. Make sure I got scripted stuff up here. Copy this, paste in here, hit save. And see what that looks like. Oh, a div was left open. Okay, it's probably at the end. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. Let's beautify that for a second. Save that. Hang on, let's go back to our console here. Login 500, internal server error. Okay. Oh wait, what's going on here? Let's make this bigger, see if we can't figure out. Ooh, okay. Here we go. I actually just want to, something is not going on. Let's clear this. Let's get a bit messy to see what was going on. Okay. lib.firebase.js. Writable is not defined at user store. Oh, so we need to probably import writable back in that, not this one, it was, what, firebase.js? This one right here, writable. Yeah, we need to import that. Okay, where did I import writable? Let's go here. Import writable Firestore. What is it? Oh, you know what? I could just open up another project. Import, oh no. Let's do this. Import writable. Oh, is this it? Really? Svelte store? Oh yeah, it's not Firebase. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. I need to put this up in here. I bet we need something else too. Let's do this. Yeah, I think we need something else too. Derived? I think it's from the same thing. Derived. Writable, comma, derived. Save that. I think we're good now. Okay. You're going to see a couple of errors, apparently. All right, so we're good here. Let's make this look a little better just so we can see a little bit of what's going on. So let's add to the entire page here, let's do some margin on the y-axis of 10. Let's go ahead and center all the text with text-center. See what that looks like. All right, that's good. Let's make this H1, give some class, text for Excel. Font black, just to make it super deep. There you go. And let's also add margin y-axis like 7. Okay, welcome, use the button below to get started. And on this button, we'll add a class of btn. And there you go, maybe btn primary. btn-primary. And okay. Now, this is going to trigger a function called sign in with Google. So let's go look at this. Here's our sign in with Google thing. Let's actually go up here. I'm just making this file look a little bit better. That's fine. Sign in with Google. Provider, credential, token. This is all kind of like Google Auth stuff. And you can generally get this from their documents if you don't already. We're actually just going to grab the email directly from credential.user.email. Credential.user.email. And then we have some Firebase stuff, some Firestore. So these two are related. This is a document reference, and this uses the SDKs up here, doc, and then like get doc, and then we're going to do set doc down below. So we're going to grab this user, even if they don't exist, by the way. We're going to look in our database in the users collection. Again, this is what we named our users collection earlier. And then we're going to get, we're going to search the user ID. Remember, credential.user.uid. We're creating that up here. And then we're taking a snapshot of that data. Doc snap, you can name this really whatever you want. We are going to get that doc that we just got the reference to right there. And then, you don't have to do this, but I have a new variable, is new user, question mark, it's a Boolean. And this basically says, does it exist? If it doesn't exist, this thing means does not. Right? If it does not exist, docsnap.exist, then this will be true, right? They will be a new user. And if it's false, well then this will be false. I mean, if it does exist, it'll be false. Don't worry about it. I think you know what I'm saying. Anyways, so we're going to call our sign in thing right here. API sign in. Wait a minute. Oh, you know what? I bet if we did this right now, there would be an error because it's not named that. It's named something different. Here is my sign-in thing. Yeah. Oh, and it's also redirecting us. Let's fix that. So it's not sign-in, it's login. API/login. Okay, that was number one. And then it's actually redirecting us down here. Skip down. Go to. Welcome. Let's not do that. Let's actually not redirect it all right now. Let's just comment that out. Comment that out. This is like if an error happens, I guess. Or no, this is if new user. Well, let's not do either one of those. Let's actually reload this page. Oh, that's not the right page. Let's go to login. Did it actually, Firebase, create a new user? This is the wrong one. Topicalmap.ai, Firestore. Yeah, it did. Here's the other user that I first created, and then this one worked. So it signed me in, and you can also see it added a timestamp, created. You can see this stuff right here, by the way. Created. It added an email field, and it also added a plan. This is actually from fab.ai. I can just delete that because we don't need a plan for this one. And it added their display name. All this stuff came straight from the Google Auth thing. And this is using setDoc. And this is only for new users. If it's not a new user, if they already exist, then we just say user already exists. It's just logging that to the console down here. So let's actually refresh this page. Let's go here again. Let's log in. It should say user already exists. Yes, it does. User already exists. But we have another error up here. Oh, lib.server.admin. Yeah, okay. Imported from this file something. Okay, let's check that. What file is it? The API login file. API login, this file. lib.server.admin. lib.server. Oh, it's just named something wrong. This server file should be admin.js. Rename admin.js. Okay. Let's try this again. Let's refresh. Are we good? Let's try this again. Log in. This one. User already exists. And we're good. You can ignore this for now. It did not redirect us because I took that out. But we have this. Let's actually delete this and just do it again, just to make sure. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to check the cookies. So we should have application cookies, and there should be one like underscore session. There you go. There's our session cookie. So let's actually delete that. If we delete that, refresh. Oh, nothing happens right now. Let's go here. Delete this. We're just going to try one more time, and then we're almost done with this video. Okay, we're completely logged out. Application cookies. There's no other cookies. Well, there's the rewardful thing, but that's from fab.ai. Okay, so let's create a new thing. And do I need to point people? No, I won't point people anywhere right now. Let's log in. Go here. And now we have our cookies. We got our session cookie right there. New user created. And then the new user is right here. People McPherson. Got my email created and this time and date. And now we're good. So one more part to this tutorial. And that is, logging out. There's actually two new parts to this tutorial. I prefer to log people out when they hit a specific route in my app. I'm going to create a logout component, by the way, logout.js, just so we can kind of reuse it in different parts of our app. We can import this component into different parts of our app and kind of use them from anywhere. But what I like to do is create a /logout route. For example, when people go to this URL, /logout, it will automatically delete the cookie and log them out and redirect them to the login page. I do this just because it makes managing cookies a little bit easier. Yeah, there are other ways you could do this probably. There's probably developers that could think of a better way, but for me, this is how I know to do it. You'll see what I mean. So let's do this. It'll take a second. Logout.js in the lib folder. Okay, lib. Let's add a new file. Logout.js. Let's paste this in there. Okay. This just has a function, sign out, SSR, fetch. This is wrong. Again, we need to change this. Log in. There we go. Method delete. We're calling that delete function from the file we created earlier. What was that? This one right here. Delete. We're calling this the delete thing right there. All right. And we got sign out auth. So save this. Sign out. That's the logout component. Okay, cool. Now let's create this route, which we kind of already did. There's the login page. Here's the logout page. Okay, nothing here. It just says logout right now. And let's add this in. So I'm actually just going to delete this entire thing. Paste this in here. Make this a little bit prettier. Ooh-wee. I am getting some errors here. Failed to resolve lib.signout. That's because that's not what it's called. Lib.logout. I'm naming things very, very poorly here. Okay. So this is logging out. I think I just logged myself out on accident. I did. So let's actually go to login. Sign back in. All right. Now this page right here, well, I'm not going to show you this. Let's go here. Oops. 1 second. Okay, sorry. So data, I don't think we're using this at all. Let's just get rid of that. On mount basically just means like when this page loads, essentially. We're going to console log logging out. That's optional. And then we're going to call these two things. Sign out SSR and then sign out client. Those are both, we're importing those from that component that we just created. Logout.js, we're importing the components from that file, the functions from that component rather, and then we're just calling them right there. And then, again, this is optional, but we are waiting 2 seconds, and then we're going to the login page. Do I have go to? Yeah, I do have go to right there. It says you're not logged in, redirecting to the login page. So I'm logged in on my app right now. If I go to the logout page, you know what we could do? Let's just put a link right here. Put a link right here. Let's go to the layout page. And then, here, let's move this so you can see it. There's my login button. Let's create another one called logout. Why is it like that? Logout. Logout. Hit that, save. So when I click this, it should log us out and then redirect us back to the login page. So let's see what happens. Let's open up the console here. Log out. It says you're not logged in, redirecting to login page. And there you go. Now we're logged out. And that should have deleted the cookie as well. It might take a half second. Yeah, if I refresh the page, the cookie's gone, so we're logged out. Now, the last part of this video. Let's lock down 1 or 2 pieces of content from the just based on user data. Let's import some user data here. So I actually I don't have this on my notes. I kind of just want to copy this over from a fab.ai page. We are basically going to load some user data. Actually, you know what? Let's do this in a separate video. This is a lot. That was a lot right there, and this is going to be another lot. So let's do this in the next video or the video after, because there's a lot we have to do for locking down different parts of the app. And like this, for example, we don't want to show logout unless people are actually logged in, right? We have to set that to conditionally show. But there's a lot that goes into that. So let's actually do that in the next video. Last thing I'll do in this one is get. Just get. Also, this is annoying me. This is the footer. We should like delete some of these. Anyways, so let's get out of the thing. Get status. Here's what we changed. Let's go get add all those. We're going to add to the staging area. Get commit -m, and then we're going to do implemented Google Auth login and logout. All right. Cool. I'm not going to push it. I would push it live, but I'm not going to do that just yet until we can lock down some of these things, because I don't want to push this public yet. There you go. So we'll just leave it right there. All right. We'll see you in the next video.